Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about how to choose a lens ecosystem. So let's dive deep into it. Now let this be very clear. I'm making this video, I'm getting way too comments. It's like which lens to, which camera to buy. And generally the comment shows a certain level of lack of understanding of what you are buying, especially with interchangeable lens camera, where it's like, should I buy this Nikon or should I buy this Canon? That's a wrong question. Simply because lens matter the most in any setup. You can like, oh, what if I can do post-processing and all that? No, there are certain things that if your lens gives you garbage in equals garbage out. No amount of AI hulululu can fix that. And not to mention, people want to get away from AI. That's why they are getting paying a photographer, or you are buying a camera. So in that scenario, if your lens is, let's say, soft focus lens, yeah, good luck. You're gonna be very disappointed, and you might just convert your camera into a paperweight. So lens is the most important thing. If your lens is not sharp enough, you can't add sharpness in post. It does not matter how many megapixel you put behind it. A good lens with good MTF value compared to a poor MTF value on a very high megapixel camera, everybody will select lower megapixel with high MTF lens. Lens is the freaking eye of the setup. This is the first thing, first line of defense. So must not compromise on this. Garbage in equals garbage out. So lens cannot be garbage. Again, this used to be very common courtesy, but again, there is another aspect, is that we have reached a point where absolutely atrocious lenses are no longer being manufactured. There was a time back in the old days of DSLR, there were times where it's like you could have bought a third-party lens that was just like, are you freaking serious? Like, are you freaking serious? This lens actually made into production and people are buying this? Yeah, it was that bad. But nowadays, I think more, even in third-party lenses, they are like the overall quality has reached a very good level. So we do not have too much discussion about it, but still valid that a basic body with great lens is better compared to a cheap lens with best body. Let that be very clear, because that's the first line. Sensor, SoC, the X-Speed and all that jazz cannot do anything if the sensor gets garbage data because your lens is sloppy. So fundamentally, let that be very clear, that is the first line. And must select the mount before you select the goddamn camera body. That's why I'm like generally short. You have so many options. You have Fuji that has two options. So you have XFX X mount and G mount. G mount is medium format. Then you have Hasselblad mount. Then you have Panasonic Micro Four Third. Then you have Panasonic full frame. Then you have Nikon R mount. Then you have Sony E mount. Then you have Nikon Z mount. You get the point. There is a lot of those, and these things have to be selected first. Like, you have to narrow down your selection. What I need to do will fit in this ecosystem, then you buy this ecosystem. What I want to buy only fits in this ecosystem, as in Hasselblad, you're gonna buy that. Okay, let that be. This selection has to be made before any other selection. So you can never ask, it's like, what about this or this? That means you did not did the lens filtering first, because if you did, you will know what is the right lens. So, and change is very costly. So you're like, okay, what would happen? Like, again, nothing, no end of the world scenario will happen. You can survive, and people do. Many times people jump into a system, it did not suit them. They bite the bullet and like try to sell the equipment, and sometimes they can get good price. But again, it's a very costly and very wasteful. So it pays, like it literally saves money and pays you well to actually spend time before making any purchase decision. So sit down and select the goddamn lens ecosystem before making the purchase. So the first thing is goddamn price, right? It does not make a point if you cannot afford it. If it's like, oh, Canon has this amazing red ring lens, it's super amazing, superly awesome. Yeah, you can't afford it. Then there is no point to it. It's as simple as that. That's the first line. Can you goddamn afford it or not? And most people will end up with few lenses. If you're doing this as a proper hobby also, you're gonna have 2-3 lenses. Like, that was the whole point of buying interchangeable lens camera. Heck, you will be very tempted now, because we went away from the era of mobile phone having one camera lens. Now mobile phone has 3, 4, 5. So you will be very tempted, so to say. And again, there are optical zoom lenses now in a smartphone because of periscopic design. So yeah, let that be very clear. You're gonna be very tempted to have multiple lenses. And everybody does. It's a normal thing. And again, that's the primary reason why you are buying a interchangeable lens system. And first party lenses always will give you all the feature sets. We'll do a deeper discussion on another slide, but this is the core point. If you watch a video, oh, this camera body has this feature, or this brand has this feature, the only guarantee you have is that if you buy a first party lens, basically if you are buying Sony E-mount body, you are buying a Sony lens, go YOLO. All the feature set will work. If you are buying a Canon system, again, you can't even buy a third party because again, they have locked it. They will not allow anybody to make full frame R-mount lenses. So flat out, you're stuck there. Nikon also has that sort of sloppy deal. You may luck out if you can go into Micro Four Third is fully open. Anybody can manufacture anything they want. All the licenses are open source. L-Mount Alliance, again, it's not as open source, but it does have three major players. They have Leica, they have Panasonic, and they have Sigma. So all these three players, they can make the lenses interchangeable body also. So all those first party setup will give you perfect features parity, meaning, oh, you bought this camera, it has all this feature, all this feature will work. But that is not guaranteed the moment you jump to third party. You have to be aware of that. And it's a very, very normal nowadays to be very expensive lens. For example, many times people are like, I want sports photography. Have you seen the prices of those lenses that are, next to a sports stadium? Like, what do you think is the prices? Again, I'm talking in rupees. So let's say you are like very long sports, like let's say cricket, and that long as in like from your point to the place where things are happening. You want 1200 millimeter f8. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna get more than that because again, at that point, it's a telescope. So how expensive do you think that is? That's 19 lakhs. That's ludicrously expensive. To give you a contrast, even the expensive lens of like 24 to 70 f2, not 2.8, f2, which is one stop brighter, much higher quality, red ring and blah blah blah, that is only 3. That is 3 lakhs versus 19 lakhs. So uncommon lenses are generally very, very expensive, very expensive. And same goes with every brand. Like you go into Sony, same thing, 600 millimeter f4, it's freaking 13 lakhs. It's like, damn, this puppy is expensive. And I think Canon one, in this regard, Canon one is much cheaper. So if for some reason, let's say you want a 600 millimeter lens, again, this is third party website, I'm directly showing the prices. So if you go into Canon, you can get 600 millimeter f4 lens for around 12.5 lakhs. If you go first party, you're gonna get 13.7. So again, if that's your jam, that's the lens you want to buy, Canon would be a better deal. Because again, if you can't afford it, what's the point? So all of these plays the first role. If you want to be damn sure about all the feature set, get into first party. If you are looking into any uncommon lens, do not be shocked by prices. They are like that by design. Again, nobody's gonna invest boatload of money into making these lenses, grounding the glass and making the whole packaging and all that if they are not making profit on it. The only way to make profit of it, because again, not enough people are gonna buy it, per unit price goes up. So, and again, it's true with all brands, be it Nikon, be it Sony, be it Canon, be it Panasonic, be it Micro Four Third, everything goes like that. So if you are looking into, Holy Trinity lenses, they are generally very price competitive. In contrast to, let's say, some unique macro lenses, you'll be like, holy damn, macro lenses are expensive, like ludicrously expensive. And again, telephoto lenses are on a whole different, like money is no object kind of territory. So that's normal. So you have to be very ready for it, psychologically, mentally. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this camera, then I'm going to do macro photography, please look into macro photography. And you may be like, what if I do tilt shift photography? Holy damn, those lenses are expensive. They're nothing physically expensive. Nothing in them is expensive. It's just that companies are not selling enough of them to justify it. So per unit price has to go up. It's painful. So uncommon lenses are expensive. So Holy Trinity, super cheap. Some of the very well-known primes, super cheap. Anything else, ish, expensive. And quality lenses are generally expensive. Let that be very clear. It does not matter in the third party. Sigma can actually tell you, it's like, hey, we can make a very cheap lens, but it's going to be blue, and we can make a quality lens. It's going to be actually good because, again, the compound used for making of the glass, the polishing stages, the coatings, all of those have physical, scientific effect on the lens, and it does cost money. There is no going around it. Now, some people, many times, who do not think thoroughly, do not understand there are two core components to lenses. One is art, another is science. Meaning, we can have a very good scientific, productive discussion about which lens is sharper. Does not mean the sharper lens is what you desire. You may be doing a model photography. You may be doing romantic movie shoots. You may not want sharp lenses. While another person would be like, this lens has awesome color rendition. Romantic people will be like, people who want to do romantic movies, they're like, sure, take money. While you go the same thing to a VFX heavy movie, they're like, nah, throw it away. high sharpness, give me that. Because again, once you have sharp image, you can blur it to make it, you do everything while it is sharp, VFX, all that. And once you get that and you're like, well, it's looking a bit sharp. Okay, no problem. You can blur it. That's much easier. So fundamentally, there is science and then there is art. Art is directly proportional to you. What do you seek? If you're like, dude, I take architectural photographies and all that, again, you have to invest into a very sharp glass. You have to invest into tilt shift if you really want to stand out, so to say. So it's up to you. And again, you have to study the cost, because if you can't afford it, what's the point? Oh, I bought this camera, but the lens I want, I can't afford because I did not check before I buying it. So let that be very clear. And can you use, basically kit lenses or sloppy lenses to do good work? Absolutely. But here's the, if you have quality glass, your skill will shine more. That's the whole point. Otherwise, your skill is fighting the basically crappy lens, so to say. And again, I do not know your skill, and I can not focus on the art part. I can only focus on the scientific part of that science, and science is very clear. Your skill is 50%, 50% is your equipment. You can compensate for crappy equipment with very good skill, or if you are very lucky in case of timing, awesome. But do you want to risk it? And that's why these lenses sold in the first place. Any person, once they get experienced enough, once they have good enough skill, they do not want to spend time fighting with their equipment. They will pay. They are like, yeah, I can pay this. And yes, people do buy this. Yeah, I can pay for this. People do that. Why? Because they do not have time to fight with it. They want, hey, I want a lens that does not have random light leaks or random lens flare. Because again, sometimes the lens flare, some art directors and certain movie directors are like, lens flare. Others are like, yeah, no. So that's up to you. So your skill shines more with better glass. That's factual. If you are very good with kit lens, awesome. Surprise. You're going to get them even more awesome with better glass. Unless it's artistic. If it's like, hey, I like that art, go all on it. But you have to know, it has to be a conscious decision. So price plays a very critical role. And do not be shocked by, oh, why the heck tilt shift lenses are so expensive? They do not sell that much. Then we come to another variable, size and weight. And there is a reason why I'm not talking about millimeter or aperture. You have to know those before going into it. And again, you can check your mobile phone, and especially what sort of your old history has, what sort of millimeters were you using, what apertures were you using, do you get too close to subject? You have to know those things. Those are like very low level questions, so to say. This is like an ecosystem, filtering ecosystem. So size and weight. Now, a very big deal for professional people. What does professional mean? People who are getting paid for it. That's what it means. It does not matter if you are actually a good photographer. You could be a very sloppy photographer. But as long as you're getting paid, who am I to judge? Let that be very clear. It's as simple as that. Professional simply means you're getting paid for your work. You could be a model photographer and nobody's paying you. You're not professional. If somebody is like, this photographer is not good, but everybody is booking them and paying them money, they are professional. So professional people, especially people who are dealing with a lot of traveling and handheld use, they are like, yeah, size and weight matters far more to them. You may be like, are you really willing to pay that much more for a lens that is only 500 grams lighter? They'll be like, shut up, take money. It matters. Like I have this, I'm going to Delhi for Expo. I have one gentleman who's coming for our Expo booth from USA. Dude has one carry bag, one carry on for the flight, done for 1 week. Do you really think that person will like, oh, I'm going to have this lens, I'm going to have this lens, this battery, and then no. So size and weight becomes a very critical deal if you're dealing with something like, if you're traveling a lot, and you must have seen a lot of people say like, hey, I travel a lot, so I buy Micro Four Third, or I travel a lot, I buy Fuji. And they are not going into full frame. Why? Because again, their bag space is at a premium. They do not have the luxury of like, what if I have just like a carry-on luggage? It's like, And again, that's why these sort of lenses generally come with a crappy packaging. While you look at a sports lens, which are so big and so heavy, they will not fit in a carry bag. They generally come with almost like a Pelican case. Every manufacturer will give you a case robust enough that airplanes can be trusted with that. And I do not mean aeroplane physically. I mean the people who just yeet your cargo in the aeroplane. So yeah, the packaging becomes an important thing at that point. So weight becomes heavier with time. This is another aspect. When you're young, you may not know this because your muscles will be very good, but as you age, this will become an issue. So for example, let's say a camera and lens equipment weights like this, like 1 to 2 kg. Not that heavy, right? I am holding it. It's heavy, it's not free, but like, okay, your boy can survive. But here's the, can I do this for the whole video? No. Now, again, let that be very clear. Like, no, I'm the bodybuilding guy. I can do this all day. You're Captain America. But here's the, why? That will be clear. Why? Because again, energy cannot be created or destroyed. If your muscles are like holding up 10 kg, 10 kg versus holding up 8 kg, the 10 kg one is burning more calories. And again, if the optics is worth it, go YOLO on it. If it's not worth it, why? And it becomes a very personal thing. So weight has a time component to it. For example, you will see all the sports photographers. That's why their lenses have the tripod collar in them. They're not expected to like, I'm gonna do this. No, expect to have a monopod or sometimes gimbal pod. Now gimbal pods are just like a hook hanger, so to say, where you can just float your lens. So bird photographer generally use that. So if they are using 1200 millimeter, they are not going like this. Ain't nobody got time for that. And that's why you will always see the quality, like, you know, Nobel Prize, not Nobel Prize, like, you know, magazine class photographers, they generally have a very good setup where they're like, okay, sit down and then crouch, and they're like, lens is already set. Yeah, they cannot carry it. You can barely do this with 400 millimeter. If you start to go into 600 millimeter f4, yeah, good luck. So it becomes a very important thing. So you have to know that. You may be like, hey, I like that sports lens. Do you have the equipment to carry that goddamn lens? Be very mindful of that. For short duration, YOLO, you can handle it. For long duration, no, you cannot. No matter how strong you are, because again, it's a fatigue thing, it builds up. So at like, let's say 2 kilogram equipment, it's not an issue by noon, but it is an issue by evening. So you have to be mindful of that. And your age also plays a role. Once you're young, you're like, I got this. And yes, you do got this. Your body is like full of energy. Things are good. As you get older, there's a very good chance you might have things like diabetes and blood pressure and slip disc. I have slip disc. Those sort of thing. And that point is like, yeah, I'm paying more just so I can have a lighter because I do not want to hurt my spine or I do not want to have a sugar rush. So trust me, it's one of those things. It's painful, but we all age. So once you cross 40, it's like, yeah. And I was always shocked. It's like, why the people who were using this camera during their prime years, they are all suddenly going into micro four thirds. It's like, yeah, it's fun to carry it. It's lightweight. I can carry it. If you're going to some random places and you're actually capturing in the moment, you're not gonna bring this down, even though this optically will give you the most priceless images. So size and weight matters for professional people, for travel users and handheld use. Handheld specifically, travel, you could push it, but so, and age also matter, and it's a personal tolerance thing. Do not let anyone shame you into it. It's like, oh, you should have a big lens. It's like, does your muscle allow you to? If not, don't. It's a personal thing. It's very, very personal. There's nothing to be ashamed about. It's like, it's people are paying for you art, not for your your body. So let that be very calm and clear. You have to pay attention to this, and it's personal to you. I do not know how much traveling you want to do. I do not know how much vlogging you want to do. It's all up to you, and you have to size and weight according to your requirements. Do not ask anyone else. They will not know what precisely you need to do. Another aspect is third party. Those are the core components: price and basically size and weight. And then we come to the third party ecosystem. Now, third party lenses are generally cheaper. It's rare for you to have a dicto copy in both brands and you'll find third party will be more expensive. That's rarely happens. So most of the time, 90% of the time, you are gonna find it cheaper. Sometimes you are also lucky, or to be more precise, the first parties are unlucky. They messed up the lens design and you're like, wait a minute, you're telling me the Canon red ring of lens sucks and I would be better off buying a third party lens? Yes, it has happened in DSLR era, or even in the mirrorless era. Some lenses, not all. Majority of the lenses are first party lenses are actually good, but sometimes you will find, what the hell, especially if it's a rare lens, like, you know, it's not being sold that much. You will like, what the hell. So sometimes you can get lucky like that. Now, features will always be limited. Let that be very clear. Many times people buy first party just they do not want to deal with this. For example, Canon has blocked third-party lenses on R mount, and yes, they have flat out blocked it. In the early days, they were like, just no. That's why nobody was making third-party lenses, even though optically they could have made it. Then they're like, because again, people were getting pissed off and not enough sales were happening. They're like, okay, we're gonna open it up. But what they did was very clever, and people are way too dumb to fall for this. They're like, yeah, we opened it up. Condition applied that it only applies on APS-C. It's not for full frame. So it might as well not be there. So that's there. That's Canon scenario. Again, let that be clear. That means you can put your lens, it will work optically. It will not work electrically, meaning no autofocus. Or it may just permanently crop lock your camera, meaning it will always think that it has a APS-C lens. And can companies do that? Yes, technically, legally, even ethically, they can do that simply because they are making the money from lenses, not from camera body. and that's their ecosystem. And that's why cinema cameras are so expensive. They're not expecting to make money from the bodies, they are expecting to make money from lenses. So they make so many lenses and they make as cheap of a possible lens. So like you get into the body and then you have to buy lenses. So they can do that. And again, it's up to them. Legally, Nikon can say, thou shall not have third-party lenses on Z mount. Thou will not have Z mount lenses. Again, mechanical and manual lenses, go YOLO on it. But electronic stabilized, no. Electronic data sharing, basically what millimeter it is, no. Autofocus, hell no. Image stabilization, what the hell is that? Autofocus breathing composition, no. So it's there. It's all companies can do that. Now Sony is odd in compared to these things, where Sony is just like, go YOLO on it. It's like, why? Well, Sony came into the market when the market was saturated. Nikon and Canon was the daddy at that point in time. So Sony came in and it's like, if we directly launch our lenses, first our lenses would be garbage, which was like, holy damn, Sony's first party lenses Gen 1 was like, are you serious, Sony? Like, are you freaking serious? Like, it's bad. It was bad. Let that be very clear. It was bad. But they were clever enough. They're like, hey, we allow third party to make anything. They had some limitation, and those limitations were like, you cannot exceed 50 FPS burst. Back in the old days, it was not an issue because, again, there was no prevalent concept of e-shutters, and the cameras that can do 120 FPS that A9 can do, that was not even on the horizon, so not that big of a deal. And a video breathing composition, again, not big of a deal. That was not even a thing, and third-party manufacturers can compensate for it. Don't make a camera lens that has breathing. Again, like television cameras don't have breathing, cinema cameras don't have breathing. It can be done. Optically, you can design it. So third-party are not hampered unless they are focusing on high-speed equipments in Sony. And again, all companies have this. Even Fuji has this sort of system where it's like, it works, but people are like, autofocus, it never feels just like, just like, it always feels like, Again, companies will always do that. Image stabilization is one of those things. Is like, and you're like, how the heck we had to have in DSLRs? Yeah, those were reverse engineered. And again, same can be done, but now companies are like, nah, we're gonna sue your ass. So fundamentally, you have to be mindful of that. So please look into it. Now, again, does that matter to you? Maybe, maybe not. It's completely up to you. Are those penalty worth it to you or not? That's up to you, up to your requirement. If you are doing things where you're like, even 3 FPS is, you are rarely use it. You're like only doing cutting maybe 1 or 2 times. 15 FPS limit is not an issue. You are a stills photographer. What the hell you're going to give a damn about, like, breathing composition? Or you are buying a third-party lens that you want to use for video, but the lens manufacturers are smart. They are like, hey, our lens does not have breathing, so you do not have to need that. And that's optically far more preferable desire. So because again, your does get cropped when you do that. So there are a lot of options, but you have to know it before buying it. Thou shall know it before buying it. And every brand does that. So you have to be very mindful of that. And that's why sometimes when you see professional people, they're not dealing with this. They're like, yeah, I ain't got time to deal with this. I ain't got time to deal with this. And thankfully, I'm happy to say that nowadays, at least also Sony camera lenses, because again, holy damn, God save you if you used Mark 1 lenses. Mark 2 is like, okay, finally Sony has showed up. It's like, how the heck this company made their Mark 1? Compare that 70 to 200 f2.8 Mark 1 versus Mark 2. You'll be like, is this made by same company? It's like, it's shocking to him. That time you only had third-party option. So this was my presentation on how the heck you select a lens ecosystem. These are the broad strokes that you have to pay attention to, because you cannot change it, not without penalty or cost afterwards. So be mindful, take your time, and we are talking about expensive equipment. So please spend some time on it. So this was my presentation on which lens ecosystem to select based on your needs. Hopefully you have liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment, and please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.